Hello viewers, welcome to part 2 of my video series overviewing Catcher in the Rye. This video I will be talking about the many themes in the novel, such as childhood innocence and why it needs to be protected. I will briefly talk about sex, so watch out, that might get a little bit interesting. And I'd like to start off this video by asking a question that will be discussed in video number 3. Can somebody be the catcher in the rye? Is that possible? I'd like you to leave that in the comments, and I'd like to get started talking about the themes in the novel. So, protection of childhood innocence is probably one of the most prominent themes in The Catcher in the Rye, because Holden Caulfield talks about it so much, and Holden Caulfield has what I call Peter Pan syndrome. He is afraid to grow up, and he cannot be blamed for being afraid to grow up because, one, that's who J.D. Salinger made him. He can't control what he is, but not only that, it is scary to grow up. I'm not ready to grow up. I'll throw that up there like piece of paper. See, piece of paper? Throw it up. I'm not ready to grow up. Throw it up again. I'm not ready to grow up. Simple. Nobody's ready. Nobody wants to. It's scary. What we don't know is what we're afraid of. And we're afraid of what we don't know because it's new. We have never experienced it before. Like someone who is about to ride a horse for the first time. They're afraid because they know the animal is huge, a lot bigger than they are, and they're afraid of it. But if someone who has had horses for 40 years goes out, they're not going to be afraid to ride it because they've done it so many times. And experience is what leads to adulthood, in my opinion. Oh, sorry about that. Eyelash in my eye. Good luck. So, anyways, the other theme in the novel is sex. Holden Caulfield is confused by sex. Holden Caulfield admits to being a virgin in the novel. He says, I am a virgin. But something else that I believe is the novel needs to be interpreted on 3 different levels because of what Holden Caulfield says. Holden Caulfield says, 1, I'm not going to tell you about my parents because I don't care about my parents and they're not that good of people. 2, I am a terrific liar. 3, he throughout the entire novel he wants someone to talk to him. But he says he's a terrific liar. How can you talk to a liar? You ever tried to talk to a liar? It's not that easy. Just want to just take their head and go on the viewing screen. It looks like I'm crushing my skull. So, in asking the cab driver and everyone what happens to the ducks in Central Park when winter comes, he's really asking what happens when you grow up. Like, I don't want to be like my older brother. I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to end up like my little brother Allie and die young. And I don't want that to happen to Phoebe. I want to help Phoebe grow up right because holy crap, this is scary. I'm going to be out in the real world soon. The war just got over. The book was written in the late 40s. 1940s, right after World War II, and Holden Caulfield is scared. Like I've said before, he didn't want to become an adult because sex is something that Holden Caulfield says he just doesn't understand. That's a quote from the novel. He says, "I just don't understand sex." Well, of course you don't, Holden Caulfield. You're a child. You don't need to understand sex. You don't need to understand sex at all. when you're 16 years old, you have your whole life ahead of you to talk about sex, to know what sex is, to know what it feels like. You don't need to know Holden Caulfield, but he feels he does, so he accidentally hires a prostitute not to have sex with him because he just wants someone to talk to. That's someone who is desperate. If you accidentally hire a prostitute, you are one desperate kid. Please never do that, even if you're desperate. Talk to someone. And don't use metaphors to talk to people when you say you're a terrific liar. And Holden Caulfield is a terrific liar because he says he's the biggest sex maniac you've ever seen. And then he turns around and says, oh, I'm a virgin. So he can't be the biggest sex maniac you ever saw. Holden Caulfield is a liar. And that's where I get the 3 levels of the book. All truth, nothing but the truth, so help him God. That is not true. Nothing in the book is true, except the fact that he's a terrific liar. A mix of truth and lies, and then nothing but lies. And somewhere in the middle of all 3 of those things are the truth. Mockingbird reference. Amazing movie. The books were better. Anyways, back on topic. The Catcher in the Rye. Holden Caulfield just doesn't understand sex. He says he doesn't understand it. And towards the end of the novel, spoiler alert, his teacher is a pedophile. He says he practically admits to being molested over 20 times. When his teacher comes over, just petting him on the head like a little dog. That's creepy. The one person Holden Caulfield thinks he can go to because he's thinking about committing suicide. He goes to him because he doesn't want to let anyone see his dead, gory body all over the place. He goes to him and he doesn't listen to him. The teacher is a pedophile, and I think he's the only one who has touched Holden Caulfield inappropriately. Because that's the only person that he says does it, and he says it directly when he's talking about that scene. And the other part that you have to think about is many people have, if you've seen any other YouTube videos, they've talked about the 2 Holden Caulfields, and John Green does an excellent job. I'll let him explain the 2 Holden Caulfields because it's really, really confusing. But there are 2 Holden Caulfields in the novel. The Holden that is telling this story, 17, and the Holden Caulfield that accidentally hires a prostitute and can't get anyone to talk to him. And he gets everyone to read this book. How does he do it is my question. If you would like to answer that question, how did Holden Caulfield change? Or if you would like to tell me and other people how you have changed by reading the best book in the world, The Catcher in the Rye, leave that down in the comment blocks. And do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.